Hi everyone. So let's discuss quadratic expressions. We have seen linear algebraic expressions and a bit of quadratic also. So here, what is quadratic? Quadratic is the highest power of any variable is 2, right? So x square plus 2. And what is an expression? Expression is that doesn't have an equal to sign. So x square plus 2, 2y square negative 3y plus 8, or 7 minus y square plus 3y. In all of this, the highest power of the variable is 2 itself. Okay, so this is direct quadratic expression. Now sometimes they can give something like this, x multiplied by x. So when you simplify x square, you get quadratic. Same for this, we'll see how to simplify. Most of you already know how to simplify this. We use FOIL method, or in different boards it's taught in different ways. Now again, y minus 3 whole square. So what is this? Y minus 3 multiplied by y minus 3. So again, we'll see the FOIL method. But remember, all of these are quadratic expressions. Now, what is FOIL method? The most important thing to understand is what does FOIL stands for. Why? That will help us directly multiply these kind of factors. Okay, this is in factored form, right? We know that we have seen 12, let's say, is 2 into 6. These are two factors, so on and so forth, right? There are many ways you can write 1 multiplied by 12, 4 multiplied by 3, negative 2 multiplied by negative 6. All of these are, we have seen positive factors, positive divisors, negative factors, negative divisors. So we'll cover all of this in greater detail. Now, F stands for first term in each of the parentheses. So when you want to multiply, you just multiply the first terms, A into C. O stands for outer, so A into D. What we are doing is A multiplied by C, then A multiplied by D. Okay, first and outer. Then we are saying I is inner, B and C. Okay, B and C are inner terms. Then we are saying L is for last to be multiplied by D. So this is a FOIL method, helps to remember the correct order of multiplication of the variables or numbers. So in this case, you can see if you want to multiply 104 into 203, you can split 104 as 104, 100 plus 4 and 200 plus 3. FOIL, F first, O outer, 100 into 3, I inner, 4 into 20, 4 into 200, sorry, and L, 4 into 3. Okay, this is a way of remembering. If you are not comfortable or you have not solved this before, if you have solved this before, you follow your own method. If you know one, no issue at all. Okay, now we'll see one. So these are those forms that we have discussed, right? So what is the first one? X and X. So I get x square. Then O outer, x and 5, 5x. Inner, 3 and x, 3x. Last, 3 into 5, 15. Okay, so one important thing here, this is used a lot if I have to take for this split term. If I take x common, and then this step comes, right? So 5x plus 3x, since they are similar terms, we can add 8x. So this is how the FOIL method works. Okay, make sure you write all of this and the examples. If you want, take some more examples and solve for yourself. Now, the most important thing in quadratic expressions, or these factoring the quadratic expressions, it is used in solving the quadratic equations. So what we must learn is how to factor after the quadratic expressions. Now I've taken the same example as of here so that you guys will understand much better. So this is the last step, right? If I go a bit further, the step before, so let me write something like this. One step before was this, right? And the first step is x plus 3 multiplied by x plus 5. Now, look at the correlation. The number here and the number here, if you add, you will get that number as the coefficient of x. Okay, so I'll take, let's say, a and b. If you have to find two numbers such that they are a and b, they must satisfy that the sum should be equal to coefficient of x, which is equal to 8 in this case. For now, for a moment, let's assume that we don't know these values, right? These are some values a and b. Okay, since you already know that a plus b will get you 8, so I've taken this example so that you will be able to remember. And what is the other property? This one. Now what is this? This is if I have a and b. Okay, so think of like this. If I have x plus a multiplied by x plus b, what is the last term, the constant going to be? It's going to be a into b. So the product of these two numbers should be equal to the constant given in the quadratic expression, which is 15. Now, how do we solve for a and b in this way? Is you will, this product, whatever is there, you will factorize and see which factor. So let us factorize 15. So we start with always 1 into that number. Then let's say 3 into 5. We can take negatives also. Negative won't matter in this case because the sum is positive. Once you write down these factors, you check which factors, which two numbers or the factors of 15 will add up to 8. They are our numbers, our pairs. This doesn't add up, this adds up to 16, this adds up to 8. So this is our number. So this you can let go negatives, negative 16, negative 8. So this is how we factorize an expression. Okay, we find two numbers. So whenever this is given, I'll say this is x plus some number a and x plus some number b, whose the sum of a and b is the coefficient of x and the product of a and b is the constant, and I start writing the factors and check. Always and always, 100% of the times there is only one pair that will satisfy this. Okay, so you need not worry about what if we get more than one. You will never get. Okay, so this is what we have seen. So we'll solve more examples. Okay, so y square plus 6y plus 8. So we can write as y plus something. Okay, you can say y plus a and y plus b, doesn't matter. So the sum of a and b is going to be 6 and the product of a and b is going to be 8. So what we'll do is we'll write the factors of 8. What are the factors of 8? 1 multiplied by 8, 2 multiplied by 4. You can take negatives also. Negative 1 multiplied by negative 8, negative 2 multiplied by negative 4. And then check which of these are adding up to 6, right? So only this adds. So here a is 2 and b is 4. The factored form of this is y plus 2 multiplied by y plus 4. It's as simple as that. That's what is written over here also. Right? We need to find two numbers whose sum is 6 and the product is 8. So instead I've taken a and b. In the same way, you can solve. You can pause it and solve. So something like this. The sum of a and b is -7 and the product of a and b is 12. Let's write the factors of 12. 1 into 12, 2 into 6, 3 multiplied by 4, and the same negatives of it. Okay, so all the positives can go because we have some which is negative. So let us see, this is -13, -1, -12, -2, -6, -8, and -3, -4 is -7. This is the correct. So z plus of -3 multiplied by z plus of -4, which is nothing but z minus 3 multiplied by z minus 4. This is the factored form of this. Again, you can pause and try. So the sum of a and b is 2. The product is -15. So let's find the factors of -15. -1 into 15. -3 into 5. Okay. We can exchange the negatives. Now check, the sum has to be positive. The sum is 14. This is out. The sum is 2. This is the correct answer. -14 and -2. So one is -3 and the other one is 5. It's very easy once you understand what is a sum and what is a product and take the factors properly. Same. So what is the sum? Sum is -2. Make sure you take the negatives also, right? Which is a plus b, right? -2 and the product is -8. So factors of -8, -1 multiplied by 8, -2 multiplied by 4. Take the other way around. 1 multiplied by -8, 2 multiplied by -4. So take the sum and see. 7, -2 plus 4 is 2, -7 and -2. So this is the correct combination, which is 2 and -4. Okay, so two last questions, or rather, when you have negative for an x square term. So what do? We don't want negative for the x square term. Okay, we want to keep that as 1. The quotient is 1. Here the quotient becomes -1. So what we'll do is we'll pull out that negative from the entire expression. So what happens is, I hope all of you are clear with this. If you take out negative, you need to change the signs, right, of every term. So this expression I can write as negative entire parenthesis x square -12x plus 35. Now we'll solve factors for this, keeping this, the negative let it be, we are not bothered. But the expression that we are solving for now is this, the one which is inside the parenthesis. So the sum of a and b is -12 and the product of a and b is 35. Okay. Important, when the coefficient of x square is -1. Okay, you pull out a negative and then follow the same thing. So 1 into 35, 5 into 7, these are the only two. positive factors, then -1, -35, -5, and -7. So as you can see, this is the only one which gives us the sum as -12. The factorization of this is negative of x minus 5 and x minus 7. Okay, so this is when you have a negative sign, -1. Now, what if the coefficient of x square is not 1 or -1? Okay, what will happen? If coefficient of x square is not equal to 1 or -1. Okay, I suggest you follow this split method. I'll explain what is split method. Split method is basically splitting the middle term. Okay, splitting the middle term, right, which is that coefficient of x. We'll see how. Before that, how to write the sum and product. This is also important. The sum will be same. Okay, good news. But the product is not going to be -10, but is going to be this coefficient of x square into negative term. This is what you'll need to remember. This is entirely different from what we have done in the factorization, normal factoring method. Okay, so we know this is a standard quadratic expression. If a is not equal to 1 or -1, sum becomes b and product becomes a multiplied by c, not just c. Okay, then the factors and everything else is the same. Okay, just only one thing changes over here, the product changes. Okay, now -1 into 20, -2 into 10, -4 into 5. These are the factors, and take the other way around. 1 multiplied by -20, 2 multiplied by -10, and 4 multiplied by -5. Now see which one has some -1. This is not 19, 8, 1. So we can see that this will be -1, right? We get negatives of these three numbers basically. Now you will split the negative x. How do you split the negative x? In this manner. Okay, remember the numbers are 4 and -5, right? You will say plus 4x -5x. Why? If you see -1, we are writing as 4 minus 5. So negative x will write as 4x minus 5x. It's as simple as that. Okay, you just add x, which is already there, and then -10. Now you will factorize. How will you factorize? You will take everything that is common in the first two terms and in the second two terms. So what is common in the first two terms? X is common and 2 is also common. So I'll take 2x. Okay, if I take 2x, what is remaining over here? X is remaining, and x is gone in 4x and 2 is gone in 4, so 2 is remaining. Now your job is to get x plus 2 over here. Same x plus 2 has to come from this. Okay, the second also. Now what needs to be taken common so that x plus 2 remains? As you can see, you just take -5 common. Okay, -5 multiplied by x plus 2. Now we factorize, we take x plus 2 common. What remains is 2x -5, or x plus 2 multiplied by 2x minus 5. So we are doing this split method, means we are factorizing it manually because the coefficient of x square is not 1. Rest everywhere we can do this automatically, right? Now good thing is this is not tested a lot, very rarely, seldom they test this concept when x square is not equal to 1. So you need not bother if you're not comfortable with this method. So we'll solve one last question. Right, so we have seen that the sum is 11 and the product is 3 multiplied by 6, which is 16. And we'll need to take the factors, right? So 1 multiplied by 18, 2 multiplied by 11, or 2 multiplied by 9, sorry, and 3 multiplied by 6. We can take negatives, but sum is positive, so I am avoiding. And we can see that this gives us 11, right? Sum. Now, I'll need to, the way I write 11 is 2 plus 9. In this case, I need to write 11x as 2x plus 9x. Okay, if you understand this, it becomes quite easy. 2x plus 9x plus 6. And split it into two equal terms and then take whatever can be taken common. That is the most important thing. Here, I can just take x common. Okay. What remains in 3x square is x, and what remains in 2x is 2. Plus, I need to get 3x plus 2 for sure. Okay, this is the deal. The deal is this has to be common. So what has to be taken common is 3. Now, if I take 3x plus 2 common, I'm left with x plus 3. Okay. So I'm pretty sure if you kind of practice a bit, you will find the split method comfortable. Okay. So that is about quadratic expressions and how to factorize. We have learned FOIL method and we have learned how to split, right? Coefficient of x square is 1, -1, and the other values. Okay. Split method is a bit tricky, but I'm sure you will be able to follow. Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you in the next video.